Hey, blessings all around. Truth be told, and so it shall set us free. Here we are, being. Well, I see little kitten over here, looking for food. Sending out good vibes, blessings, of course, and love and compassion, and a line to find accountability in the world, justice. To find, in order for there to be peace, there needs to be justice. Karma is one of these universal principles, a spiritual principle that we talk about being like a natural law, right? Um, something that, with or without our consent, is there. And what can I say? I bring it up because it's survived for thousands and thousands, if not longer, years because there's a meaning to it. But there's this, and again, there's a lot of meaning to it. In the Ahmadi community, the Ahmadi Muslim community, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad as-Salam calls karma absolute justice because in the framework of the forms in our lives around us, what we see, we don't see justice in the world all the time, but inside of us there's justice, right? If we can find peace within ourselves, that peace is transmitted elsewhere. And so that's kind of the same principle. If we're seeking justice in the world, again, it's complicated. Gautama the Buddha talked about karma, and he said that it was too complicated, too complex a matter to really kind of just spend too much time seriously with. The way I see karma in a simple fashion is basically how you are, your feelings, your sentiments when you're not when the past and the future are kind of irrelevant. Um, Basically when you are one with what is, right? One with the moment, one with the universe, one with all things, if you will. And that's kind of the way I think the simplest way to interpret karma. Because again, if you dig deep, be honest with yourself, consider how karma, like, again, I'm thinking about things, right? I'm thinking about the future. I'm thinking about, maybe I'm remembering the past. There's all these, and again, thousands and thousands of thoughts that just go through you, stream through you, right? That are part of your body. The mind and the body are connected after all. So, and then just all these different things. Oh, I got to be here. I got to do this, and so forth, so forth, so forth. So, if all of those things are happening, those are the the kind of mystery realm. Well, not the mystery realm. It is what it is. There's the thoughts about the future, past, but all things are one, right? Einstein talked a lot about the relativity of time, or I may have to rephrase it or correct it, but basically, time is based on what sometimes we call psychological time, right? Versus chronological time, which is the fabric of kind of the deistic way of looking at things, in the sense that um, we zoom out, right? We zoom out from the world. We base our lives on kind of calendars in a lot of ways that are social, right? Oh, I got to be here for my job. I got to do this for my family. I got to do this because of so forth and so forth and so forth. And those things, again, are kind of calendrical, right? They're based on, okay, well, these people in my country have these responsibilities and these values and priorities, and therefore I have to fit into this, and this, and so forth, in order to, be of value, in order to gain value, in order to all do these so forth and so forth things. Now, again, those things are real. They're important in one way, but it's also just relative to the context of which it can be perceived. Like, for example, a lot of times we like to think, we live in the, why do we call this year the year 2020? We call this year the year 2020 because of Christ, because of Jesus. Jesus came and set the clock back. He said, this is year zero. We're starting over. We're going to do things that, haven't been seen before, have never been witnessed before, and we are going to realize a whole new world. We're going to realize a whole new way of being. Even beyond the world, and the heavens and the earth, are connected. Beyond all these things, we shall start, beneath the surface, right? We shall start at the core. But of course, the other calendars are set. There are calendars that are set by the lunar calendar. There are calendars that do not subscribe to again, the kind of Roman calendar year. My point is that time is an illusion for, all intents and purposes. It's illusory. Let me rephrase it. It's illusory because it's real again, right? It's like, we have to be at certain places at certain times, otherwise there will be real consequences. So it's not that it's an illusion, but it's illusory. Because because consider this, take some time, just let this seep in, see what it does for you. But you know, when we think about, again, where we're going, right? When we think about where we've been, when we think about those things, there's this identity, right? Okay, so I am this guy. I'm born in America and I have Eastern heritage and I know these people and have done these things and value these contributions to service and so forth and so forth. But in another way, the grand force you could call God, the universe, nature, there are things that are just far beyond my control, that are far outside of my control. These things will determine a lot more of what I become, right? And I'm a lot more. I don't want to get too caught up in words, but there will be forces outside of my control that will redefine who I am or who I will be. So in that sense, again, let's say I imagine myself as a father, right? I imagine myself having children. You know, again, God willing, that would be the case, right? But at the same time, who knows when my day will come, right? Who knows when any day will come for anybody? So I have these plans, right? My thoughts about, if I'm looking out and I got to have this college fund and I got to have these things and I got to have this things and all those things are based on my decision to be, to raise children and to so forth and so forth and so forth. So those are kind of connected, right? The past and the future, they're kind of interwoven. Now, again, if I'm being, and again, it's beyond the words, because presence is one of those things that we talk about all the time these days. It's kind of like I don't know how to put it. Like, it's not a buzzword because it's great, it's a good topic, but again, there's a lot more to it. Sadhguruji, for those of you who are tuned in, he's a wonderful, amazing teacher. People talk about him being a god man, but I was having a conversation with one of the innkeepers recently, and she was telling me that the only real god men were the rishis back in the day, the 7 rishis. Um, I've called him a prophet before, Sadhguruji. I've talked with some people who call him the Messiah. He's quite, and again, I don't want to exaggerate, because he's never claimed to be enlightened. He's never claimed to be no prophet or anything like that. But, the important thing is that, his foundation called the Isha Foundation has concluded with scientific research and evidence that he has impacted the lives of over 500 million people directly. And now that's directly. That's not including the people that have indirectly been affected by the people that he's affected. Those are the things that you can verifiably show. So, and again, this points back to our own power. Life is often really challenging, but then there's pain in this world and all over the universe, as far as I can tell. But I think that again, we have a ripple effect, right? I like to go to the prophets, people like I call like Jesus, Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Gautama the Buddha, many living prophets or people who are, who have been prophets, Baha'u'llah, the founder of the Baha'i faith, Guru Nanak Sahib Ji, the founder of the Sikh faith. I call them prophets in a way because they send, there's a ripple, right? Like Jesus, Jesus, I think, is, kind of the easiest starting point in a lot of ways. Again, our calendar, the whole world goes by the Western Roman calendar, in the year 2020. Whether or not you're going by the lunar calendar, you have to take into consideration that calendar year. There's no way, people learn English because of the influence it has, right? So I say these things again because, so let's go to Jesus, right? Like, some people will say Jesus didn't come to bring peace on earth. It's one of the verses that, is easily accessible within any church anyway. I didn't come to bring peace on earth. I came to bring the sword, right? That's paraphrasing it. I came to turn father against son, daughter against mother, mother-in-law against daughter-in-law, so forth and so forth. I came to bring the sword. It's a complicated verse. It's a complicated verse because people will say, oh, what do you mean Jesus came to bring the sword? Why did he have his disciples with 3 swords in the Garden of Gethsemane? Right? I thought he was a pious man. I thought he was all peacemaking and all that. But he also said, if you hurt the single hair of a child's head, it's better for you to be bound by the feet and thrown into the sea. right? Life is, again, so deep. Life is so transcendental, so beyond the words. There's so many things. There's so many experiences that we can never really put into words, right? Being in love, right? Having children. Sometimes experiences through meditation or prayer or yoga or a lot of different things. There are things that are beyond our words to describe. We do the best that we can because they enthuse us. They make us move. They make us have, so much like another layer of meaning than just the corporeal aspects of life, driving around, going to work, and nothing wrong with that. Again, there's a great meaning in that. Nonetheless, what I'm trying to say here again is that Jesus, right? Jesus had this ripple effect that, basically will never end. I mean, we'll never end, really. I mean, again, even if, for example, the whole world were to have ended, it doesn't mean that he wasn't there. It doesn't mean that he didn't love in such a divine, such a powerful way that, the whole universe shakes with it. It's just the truth. Because that's what I'm talking about. So each one of us, Christ also said, the kingdom of God is within you. Christ said, greater things than I have done, you shall do. Christ was a liberator. Remember this. Christ was not someone who was like, I implore those who are parents or teachers to consider this, right? What is a true teacher? A teacher is one who says, transcend me, right? If Jesus' core message was compassion, or if it was justice, why would he say, oh, okay, well, this is the limit of how much you can be compassionate? No, he would say, be more compassionate than I, right? And again, these are his words. You have to do the research yourself. But Christ would never be like, oh, okay, well, there's nothing wrong with, of course, learning from Jesus. But the true teacher is one who says, transcend me, go beyond me, become more than I am, be more than I was, be more than I will be. Dig deeper, or fly higher, whatever way you want to put it, diagonate. But it's the ripple effect. We all have these abilities, and I think that this is a really, really important thing. I was having a conversation too recently about because it's not always about what we can do, but what we should do, right? There's so many amazing people in the world too, I mean, of course we have the icons, of course we have people that pop culture, clings to and kind of, gets around after sometimes when they're alive, but a lot of times after they're gone, because it's easier, right? Because there's a whitewashed version of the character that we're talking about. If it's Jesus, if it's Dr. King, if it's Malcolm X, if it's Baha'u'llah, there's so many different people who become these idols, if you will, right? They become symbols of something, and perhaps that's just the way it is. But I also would say that, again, let's not let these symbols define the deeper parts of ourselves. Let them not define us. Again, in Islam, there's a really, really well protected principle of non-idolatry, where, again, none of the prophets, God is never put into a form, right? And and actually it's similar. It's the same thing in Buddhism. Gautama, for those who don't know, Gautama the Buddha instructed his disciples and those involved to say, not to pass on his teaching, or not to hey, there's my mama. not to basically not to write down anything that he had done for several hundred years after he was gone. So, and of course, again, there are many, many different depictions of Buddha these days. You see Buddha sometimes as a sack of bones. That's before he reached enlightenment. He was on his Samana journey when he was resurrected by the young girl who brought him rice and water. But then there's, again, the Buddha that's really quiet. He's touching the ground. That's the symbol of the enlightened Buddha. He's one with the earth. There's a lot of different depictions of Buddha out there. So, but again, the principle remains the same in Buddhism. And again, I would say the same thing for Christians, for Jesus. Jesus said, call ye no man rabbi. Jesus said, call, no man father, right? Find the verse, look it up yourself, figure it out yourself. But what is he saying? He's saying that, don't take an authority just because of their position. The only authority is the truth, right? Don't just, you can accept things as they are, but remember, there's so much more to life that you need to find yourself. Just because people pass along things, there's propaganda in the world, unfortunately, right? There's people that will tell you things, that want to sell you something. Instead of just, and again, if you do go through with it, if you choose to buy those things, maybe, you'll learn a lesson from that. You'll figure out that, there's a difference between compassion and naivety, right? A lot of times, naivety is the best disguise, compassion is often the best. Naivety is the best mask. Hold on, it's one of my one of my sayings I really like. It's compassion's best disguise. No, the best disguise of naivety is compassion. So what do I mean by that? I think that sometimes, we want to be good people, we want to be polite, we want to be kind and whatnot, but at the end of the day, there is a line, there's a truth, right? There are things that may be transcendable, but really we don't need to. You know what I mean? We don't need to, you know, we don't need to, we don't need to jump over people's fences, right? We don't need to cross people's boundaries without their consent, involvement, and so forth. We don't need to break every barrier. Barriers can be very valuable too. So anyway, the point is, what I'm trying to say is that you have power. You have so much power. There's so much power inside of you. There's so much power inside of me. There's so much power inside of all of us. I'm realizing more and more of my power. I'm allowing it. I'm appreciating it. I'm respecting it. Because again, I get into this conversation. I was on a broadcast recently with someone, and I was talking about like self-love. I was talking about, letting go of different habits and, how to, help people, this and that. But I was like, he was saying, self-love, you got to remember, it's the most important thing, right? Peace within comes from your own self-appreciation, self-acceptance, self-love. And it's true. It's so true. At the same time, what I pointed out is that there's a balance, right? But anyway, I think you kind of probably would intuitively get what I'm saying there. But I nonetheless am again realizing I am, ingraining. I am fertilizing the ground of my own self power. Because again, if you find inner peace, you don't need to convince anybody of it. It will. Even if people don't know or believe, it doesn't really matter, because inside, right? I mean, you got it. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's the way it is a lot of times, right? Again, so many people, right? There's so many good people in the world, but it's a mix. It's a combination, right? We don't always, because we have our own context, because we have our own universe, Mizflark, as might say, there's a language. There's a language that we can communicate, that core, that essence, that presence, that beautiful. It's coming up, Christmas presents, right? Hanukkah, L'chaim, right? So all I'm saying again is that I love you. That's what I'm saying. I love you because love is the answer. Love, love, right? Love is so good. My mom inspires me to be able to say that, so, because I don't know if I would have been able to say it without her. Anyway, I'm hoping to get moving soon. I'm on the move, and got a lot to do. And my crew is waiting. There's a lot of different shades of gray, but there's also hues, right, and nuances. Yeah. So I'm bidding you all adieu. Peace and blessings again. Please be well. Remember to do your practices, if it's meditation, if it's prayer, if it's exercise and yoga, if it's walking in the forest, walking, whatever, on your own. And even if it's something that's unconventional that people don't understand, something that might be like, oh, that's bad for you, this and that, right? You're eating meat and you should be a vegan and da whatever. There is such a thing as productivity porn, right? People just, blah blah blah, you gotta do this and be happy, just inside yourself what you gotta do. Stay true to that. Feel it again. Let it go. Whatever, keep it going. May peace, blessings. Hey, what's up, Jose? Hey, long time, man. Sam, what's up, bro? Man, I was thinking about you the other day. I hope you're doing all right. I'm just about to. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I get my pronunciation from my father. He spent a lot of time when he was learning languages to pronounce things the right way. It was a really important thing for him, and I appreciate you saying that. And also, real recognize real, right? So you must be a true seeker yourself. I was just about to hop off because I still got to get moving. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. Again, peace, blessings, love. Celebrate your life. Live for today. Life is for the living. Just keep on going. Just keep on going. I know I have to keep. One of the things for me is always just keep moving, right? Not Eisenhower. Churchill said, right, if you're going through hell, keep going. Sometimes life can be just so much for all of us. For all of us. It doesn't matter how successful you are or how much you're loved by the world and the world's eye and whatnot. Definitely, Jose. I'm here anytime. Hit me up. Hey, you too. You too. Take care. Miss Lindsay, Paula. So, but just keep going, just keep doing your thing. Things turn around, we never know what the future holds, but again, it's a mystery. Life is a mystery. So, just revel in that mystery, I would say. Anyway, once again, Smiz Vlog, peace, love, take care, all the best, and see you next time.